The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
TV party tonight! What? TV party tonight!
Oh, we got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
Don't want to talk about anything else.
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated to our favorite shows!
Oh, my circuits!
Everybody loves Hypno Toad.
Scary dog!
Pearson at Blurnsville.
Futurama!
Hello, and welcome to TV Party Tonight. I'm your host, Alexis Hain, and joining me, we had to go get a contract and raise them up from hell, Mr. Mark Radulich. How's it going?
I'm Sleepy Ed tonight.
Do I have to go get Jigglypuff like old times?
No, I think I can last an hour with you, and then hopefully get some sleep.
An hour with talking about Kevin Bacon. I think we can make that work. Tonight, we are talking The Bondsman. This is the latest series to come out of Amazon Prime, and I realized I probably should have pulled up the damn info page about it first. Oops.
Oopsie poopsie.
All right, created by Granger David, starring Kevin Bacon, Jennifer Nettles, Beth Grant, Damon Harriman, Maxwell Jenkins, Jolene Purdy, among others. Brought to us by Merdina Films, Marker 96, Crime Think, Bloomhouse Television, Amazon MGM Studios, and a $5 bill I found in a pocket in my old blazer.
Waka waka.
Now, that's the joke I've been making ever since. Okay, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's like so many movies now. The production
Yeah,
like,
Family Guy made that same joke where it was like 20 minutes of production companies, and he was like, "Oh, come on, this has to be the movie."
Yeah, and and that was the joke that Robert and I made when we saw. I know I bring it up all the time, but Late Night with the Devil, because it had like 7 or 8 production companies beforehand. And when I saw it in theaters, after the last one, somebody finally said, "Start the movie already."
I think the last thing I took my kids to go see was Death of a Unicorn, and that had like 50 production studios.
And that's just like I've been noticing now more often since I saw that movie. It's like, wow, there really is a lot. And I jokes like, one of these days it's going to get down. All these, it always says, "Oh, and a $5 that I found in my pocket of my old jeans," or something like that.
I just want to like invest in movies just so you can see like the Pantsless Productions logo come up.
Seriously, it's like, if I give you guys a dime, do I get a production company image or something? Because I'll give you a damn dime.
Yeah, like what is the minimum amount I have to contribute to any number of motion pictures just to get a logo in there? An utterly meaningless logo.
How was Death of the Unicorn, by the way?
Not as good as I wanted it to be. It had so much promise, but it it was okay. Just it wasn't like I wanted to be. And I know I'm going to say this, and you're going to go into a 20-minute diatribe now that I've said that you won't, but about how much you didn't like the movie. But I wanted to be like Triangle of Sadness. Like I wanted it to be like just ridiculously absurd, or if you like more like like a Sam Raimi movie. Just go crazy with it. Throw blood everywhere, Really, really lean into the satire, and it doesn't do any of those things enough.
I gotcha. And if you want to hear me bitch about Triangle of Sadness, go check out our Oscars podcast from not last year, but the year before that, where you hear Robert and me basically berate Mark for making us watch that piece of shit.
No. You made arguments. There was no berating. I fought back just fine. Let's not sell that as something it wasn't.
Oh, you're right. It was Zone of Interest that I berated you for. What? There's always at least one movie every Oscar season where we have to freaking buy it on Amazon because it's not streaming anywhere, and it's not in.
That's what you berated me for? The fact that I had to make you pay for a movie?
I don't mind paying for movies. I have American Fiction now on my collection, and I freaking love that movie.
That's great. I wish Death of a Unicorn had been as good as American Fiction.
Very true. But no, there's every year, there's always at least one Oscar. So, because we always do the Oscars podcast, there's always one film. It's too independent to be in any major studio around here. I know Robert complains about this all the time because he doesn't live near any good indie theaters. It's not on streaming. So, the only option you have is to buy it on Amazon because hasn't been out long enough to rent because they release it during the pitch Oscar season of the holidays. And we buy it and it's garbage, and it's like, it's not just that it's horrible pretentious crap, it's that I had to pay full price and now I own it. God help me.
I own a copy of what's it called, boys? Gosh, this last one, Nickel Boys. I own a copy of Nickel Boys for that reason.
I think I bought Nickel Boys too. I think I did. I didn't think Nickel Boys was that bad. I appreciated what they did with it.
It's not a movie I needed to own, but time was of the essence, and that was the only option.
It
was the only legal option.
Now, again, unfortunately a lot of the Oscar films get released into very small indie theaters, and it's very hard to find theaters that are streaming that, especially for those of us who have full-time jobs.
I was lucky. There were plenty of places that were playing it. You know, there's an AMC near me, and I'm one of the subs members, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 miles away from my home. And I mean that many. There's two just within, driving distance of my house alone. And I kind of alternate between them depending on what else I'm doing with my kids that day, time of day, and everything else. I think Zone of Interest, I drove out. This is going to mean nothing to you, but for all you Tampa people, I drove out to the Veterans to go see that one. And it's not that far of a drive. It's just I have to make the drive to do it. I remember actually going all the way back. How far back? Way, way back. There was a theater out in, for all you Tampa people, Clearwater, that was doing a lot of like $5 classics during the pandemic. So I took my kids to go see Indiana Jones. I took them to go see The Goonies and a couple of other things that were playing there. So I have plenty of theaters around me, including independent theaters, to go see stuff. Now, do I always have the time? No. So.
For those in the Kansas City, you'll know that when I had to review the last Miyazaki film that came out, I had to go all the way out to the frickin' Legends because that was the only theater showing it.
What Miyazaki film?
Oh, God. What was the one that he won the Oscar for a year before last? I am blanking on the name.
Is that one we reviewed?
We didn't review it. I just talked about it on the Oscars podcast.
Oh, one of the
one with Robert. Yeah.
Okay.
The one with Robert Pattinson doing the voice?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
All right, what are we talking about tonight? I only want to do this for an hour.
Fair enough. Okay, yes, we're talking about The Bondsman. It's a mini series at the moment because it's only 8 episodes, and we will get into whether or not this could have been better.
That is lies and propaganda. This is a 4-hour movie that was cut up into 8 episodes.
You're not entirely wrong there, but yes, starring Kevin Bacon as Hub Halloran, a bondsman who unfortunately meets the wrong end of a knife.
And former WWE European champion with a name like that. Jesus, Hub Halloran.
Yeah, I know, right? But is miraculously brought back from the dead to learn that basically he has been risen from perdition to hunt demons that escape from the various circles of hell. And if he does not deliver on this, then he's going back to those various circles of hell. So we have 8 episodes as we follow Hub, his mother Kitty, played by the always awesome Beth Grant. Last time we talked about her was when we reviewed Willy's Wonderland, in which she played probably the most incompetent sheriff in the history of mankind.
Nice.
Along with his ex-wife, Marianne, his son, Cade, who is starting to embark on a country music. Oh, by the way, if you're not a fan of country music, you are going to freaking hate this series, because they really lean heavy into the setting. This takes place in, I think it's Georgia. I believe it's some podunk middle of nowhere town in Georgia. Mm-hmm. And you have Marianne, the ex-wife, who is a country singer who has been trying to make it as a star, who is now dating Lucky Callahan, a former criminal, I swear to God, it's like, okay, world's biggest red flag waving quotation marks around criminal, honey.
Eh, he's trying to make a change.
Yeah, and he's going to make a change when he stars in the next Mortal Kombat movie. No, seriously, he's going to be in that. He was in the previous one. He played can't remember the character's name. The one who's in like the full body mechanical suit who convinces Kano to turn sides.
I vaguely remember Mortal Kombat. You know what I remember about Mortal Kombat? Robert's dental pain. And my long duck Don joke that didn't go over because he was in pain.
Sorry, that's actually one of my favorite movies to put on in the background. I freaking love that movie.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyway, yes, he's come back, and Cabal, that was the character's name, just hit me. It's like I had to freaking say it. So, yes, he's come back, and he has been told by his handler, a woman named Midge Kusatsu, played by Jolene Purdy, that he needs to go ahead and send them back, or send back the demons. As the series progresses, like I said, we get his family joining him on this. His very Christian church-going mother buying into this whole thing insanely fast. Really does not take a lot of time for her to say, okay, what do you need me to do? I'm on it. I'll help you hunt demons. And as the series progresses, and again, progresses is a strong word because this show's pacing is pretty freaking fast. They do not have a lot of time to just let the dirt settle before another demon is, pulled itself out of hell.
Let me tell you, I watched this while I was writing. I watched this in one day. Again, it's a 4-hour movie. I watched this in one day while I was writing notes at work. And I tell you, watching it half distracted helped.
Took 2 days for me because Andre wanted to watch it with me, and we watched it when we had dinner. So having dinner, watched 4 episodes. A couple of nights later, dinner, watched the other 4 episodes. Okay. And that is part of the biggest flaw with this is, again, this is very to the point, fast paced. We do not have anybody. There are no just. You would think this is kind of a monster of the week style series, and at first it comes across that way, but it's not. It doesn't take long to realize that these demons that are rising are doing this for a very specific reason. They're breaking out one of the chain 7, and of course they went with freaking Lilith, because I swear to God, that has become the go-to demon.
Not a new idea left in Hollywood.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how many shows I watch that end up calling back to demonology and hell.
Mm-hmm.
We have Ash versus Evil Dead, Supernatural.
Well, I feel like
Has Been Hotel.
I feel like a lot of people like go to Lilith because it's like, oh well, I bet nobody knows about like the female demon, and except that they all have the same idea. So Lilith gets done to death.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm going to tell you is, I like having a couple of different kind of reams of content that we do. Like I do some stuff with Jesse, we do a lot of prestige stuff, but we also do just stuff that's interesting to the two of us. You and I kind of trade back and forth, and we either do shit like this or Hysteria or Ash versus Evil Dead, or we do like the true crime type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. And it gives me kind of an assortment of things to talk about with different people, which I like.
Well, it's the idea of having, when you have multiple friends, you usually have one for different things. Like I got friends who I can share podcasting with, friends who I can share comic books with, friends who I can share cooking with.
Friends you can agitate in a group chat and get called names, But where I was going with this was definitely a more you show than it was a me show. And I don't want to say no to you, so I agreed to it. And I figured, I will eventually pick something you're not going to like, and then I can hold this over your head, which is fine.
I saw the trailer, and literally the first thing that popped in my head is, this looks like something Mark would like. I swear to God.
Okay, which is fine. What I was trying to say is, I had high hopes for this show. When I saw the trailer, when you pitched it to me, I was like, okay, I agree with you. I think this is I think it's an interesting concept of a bounty hunter who has to get demons and bring them back to hell. And if they had actually really leaned into that as the concept of the show, I think it would have been better. The problem is, like I said, it's a 4-hour movie, so there's a little bit of that. But like if you go to watch a regular movie, so if you'll allow me for a moment. Sean and I, years and years ago, did a long road trip for Ghostbusters. And I said, did you notice there's not a lot of ghostbusting in Ghostbusters? There's there's the opening Slimer scene.
There's the
Then
montage.
there's the montage, and then we're done. The rest of it is illusion. Like you have Ray and Winston after they've hired him, kind of talking about it, but they're having more of a discussion of, is this the end of days? Is hell rising? Is hell rising to the earth? They're not dealing with ghostbusting anymore. They're dealing with Dana and Gozer, but that's it. The actual, like, you only see them ghostbusting once. It's when they go after Slimer. The rest of the movie is quick montages, and it's mostly just them coming out with traps. And then it's not even that anymore. It's magazine covers. That's what this felt like. This felt like just a 4-hour version of Ghostbusters where we're going to see a little bit of what the pitch is. Because the elevator pitch is, what if we had a bounty hunter who takes demons back to hell? Great. Here's money. Go make me that show. Go make me that movie. And they show you a little bit of it, but the rest of it is him trying to make amends with his family. The rest of it is dealing with the real antagonist of the show, which is the ex-wife's current husband or whatever the hell he is. It's
Boyfriend, fiance, guy who apparently thinks that putting on a cowboy hat is all he needs to distinguish the fact that his entire identity is that he's a Red Sox fan.
Yeah. There's an entire episode or so dedicated to, Jolene. So you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't dislike it. It was entertaining, and Kevin Bacon's a really good actor, so that was kind of enough. But did it follow through on the premise as promised? Not really, and that's a frustration of mine. That's why I was comparing it to Ghostbusters, because you could have gotten away with this in a traditional 2-hour movie. It kind of fails as a 4-hour movie that is masquerading as a television show.
Definitely. I compare it a lot to Supernatural if they had just cut out a lot of the monster of the week. This show could have greatly benefited from a few more episodes with just some fun filler monsters. Just a couple. It's like, just a couple. Yeah, this isn't really a big major demon. It's just this jackass got out of hell and he's trying to, start some shit, or
he's trying to fuck. This week, Kevin Bacon's trying to fuck a demon. Next week, he'll try to fuck another demon. Will he? Probably. Sorry. That was last week's joke with Dorian. The Patton Oswalt rom-com setup is always so-and-so is trying to fuck. Sorry. Back to you.
But yeah, we only have 5 demons in the whole thing to set up the 5 signs of the pentagram.
Right.
And again, so much of this show just really doesn't feel like they were willing or able to take advantage of the creativity that was allotted to them. This show really feels like someone had a fun idea and then corporate came down and said, okay, now you can only do this much, but we've got this and this. No, you can only do this much. It feels like a child on a leash. That's like,
I'll tell you what it actually is. I'll tell you what it actually is. I bet this got pitched as a movie. And they were like, well, we don't really want movies. Let me take a step back. They pitched a movie, and Amazon, that's great. Here's money to go do your thing, but can you make it a television show? If it's a television show, people will spend longer on the streaming app than if it's a movie. If it's a movie, they'll only spend 2 hours on it. If it's a show, they'll spend 4, 6, 8, 10 hours on the show, and that's preferable to 2. And they were like, it's a movie. We're not... It's not a television show. It's a movie. We want to make a movie. They were like, I hear what you're saying, but if you want this sack of money with the dollar sign on it, you're going to make a TV show out of this. So they basically threw in a bunch of filler and shot their movie. And then, they shot a 4-hour movie, and then the editor had the easiest job in the world. Like, I don't have to. So Bob, the editor, here's what we need from you. Leave everything in. The fuck am I here for then? Well, we need you to kind of find break points because we need to make this a 30-minute episode 30-minute episode show. That's it. That's my job. Yes, that's your job.
The truth is, we had a more interesting character. We had a setup for a more interesting story, and that's with Midge. Originally, I thought Midge was like a demon in human form, but we find out she's someone else who sold her soul to the boss
Right.
and is now stuck in this position because she sold her soul to get her son free of leukemia because insurance companies were totally dicking her over and she couldn't get anyone to pay for the surgeries, to the point that she was unfortunately had to sell away her passion, which was shortbread cookies made with edible flowers, which I found a recipe for. And if I can find a supplier for edible flowers, I am so trying these.
Sounds fun. You gonna mill your own flour?
You couldn't resist, could you?
This is a legitimate question. Are you going
No.
to are you going to order like a batch of edible flowers and mill your own flour?
No. Hey, at least I'm not spending $1,000 on a marble rolling
So
pin.
you have to. So you're going to try to find a supplier of pre-milled edible petal flowers.
Yes.
Okay, let me know how that goes. I think you have an opportunity for an entirely new ream of TikToks. Is you milling flowers for baking flour? Just you just sitting there, motherfucker, freaking rattleage. Be great.
I hate you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, but so yeah, we get about halfway through, we learn about Midge's backstory and that yeah, she was one of the most successful up and coming bakers. She had realized her dream only for her infant son to be diagnosed with stage 4 leukemia and being she basically closes her business, sells off all of her everything she needs. She just completely guts her dream. And I love that she is actually online saying how to sell a kidney because she is that desperate for money. And let's face it, I think all of us at one point or another have wondered, could I Google how to sell a kidney?
Well, I think it's a bit more substantive than that. She has a baby, and I think as a parent, you would do anything to save your child, including give up an organ.
Mm-hmm. To which she's approached by the Pot of Gold Corporation because Hell has finally figured out the absolute worst way to present themselves as a fucking multi-level marketing scheme.
You say the worst way. Clearly, it was the best way in that they were much more profitable, much more successful in their endeavors.
I'm sorry, I hate MLMs with a passion.
I hear you, but in the world of the show, this was wildly successful. That's why they were doing it.
I know. I just looked like, wait, Hell is a pyramid scheme?
All a pyramid scheme is like a way to get more people invested in whatever it is that they're doing. So it's not that Hell is a pyramid scheme; it's that Hell utilized a very successful model for selling a product.
Still, but yeah, and I love the way the Pot of Gold ad kind of comes to life and she realizes what's going on. Again, this whole sequence is really good and it's really well done. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that, you know, as interesting as it is to watch Kevin Bacon go action hero on us, and again, he's a great actor and I always love seeing him and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How much more interesting would it be if this was a series about a woman who found herself forced to convince people to sell their souls? This is a good woman. She is selling her soul to save her child. And it's like, yeah, now you have to convince these other people to sell their souls. So they're going to spend an eternity in hell. And if you go back on this, then your son will have cancer and it'll get worse.
I mean, I guess the best answer I can give to that is, I mean, if it's well written, any silly premise will work. I don't know. I think, and I'm thinking like an executive right now. Everyone kind of thinks in terms of posters. They think in terms of marketing. If you'll see the artwork behind us, it's Kevin Bacon with the chainsaw. Chainsaw is evocative of a few different things. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's evocative. Evil Dead. You know, immediately, whether you don't know anything else about the show or not, you're just like, oh, it's going to be one of the, like, If you hadn't shown me the trailer and you just sent me that picture and like you want to talk about it, I'd be like, oh, okay, I'd be interested in seeing what Kevin Bacon does with a chainsaw. Now now let's say it's about this woman trying to talk people into hell. What kind of imagery? You'd really have to come up with something imaginative to sell it. And again, if you're gonna if you don't change any other variables, you use that actress, you're gonna have an uphill. I mean, like I don't want to be mean about this. I'm not in the mood to be either funny or mean, believe it or not. But I don't. You're gonna have to go a long ways to get people invested in something based on a poster involving her doing something, and she's not doing anything. Like again, the chainsaw over the shoulder is evocative of something action happening. What's the action in talking somebody into selling their soul to the devil?
Which is interesting because he uses the chainsaw once on
No, all
one
you needed
demon.
was once. All you needed was
Yeah,
once.
but there are worse things than seeing Kevin Bacon in his underwear taking on a demon and going full Ash Williams on us. For a man in his 60s, he still looks pretty damn good. Little skinny, but still pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm. I've seen worse.
Couple of things I did also notice about this. Like I said, if you're not a fan of country music, you're probably not going to enjoy a lot of this. But
However, if you are a fan of country music, this was fantastic.
Yeah, this show really does have a great soundtrack. And of course, I can't hate any soundtrack that brings in my favorite song from Squirrel Nut Zippers in a poetic moment.
Yeah, I enjoyed the Kevin Bacon playing a musician. I enjoyed the country part of it. Yeah, I could see where if you're one of these weirdos who has some sort of aversion to country music, you're like, oh, what the fuck with this show? But for most Americans, I'm sure it was just fine.
Well, it's also fame because Kevin Bacon, he does.
Country music is the most popular style of music in America, right?
My mom used to DJ for a country station here in Kansas City. Yes.
Okay, then quit knocking it because you don't like it.
It's not a case of I don't like it. It's a case of when you grow up being forced to listen to it because anytime you're with your parents in the car, they put on your mother's radio station to hear because she wants to hear how the other employees are doing. You grow up with a massive hatred
On the
of
other
that
hand,
music.
if I may, what's your name? What's your name? May I walk you to your door? What's your name? What's your name? Is it Mary or Sue? It's so hard to find a girl with personality.
Let's see how long he notices.
How'd I do that?
You didn't. I wanted to see how long it would take for you to notice after you started singing.
Oh.
I just couldn't resist letting it go longer. I'm sorry.
Anyway, what I was trying to say before the host was unprofessional was I grew up on 50s music, and I don't hate it. So speak for yourself, sister. I'm going to watch basketball. Let me know when you need me.
Fine, but you have to admit having a mother and son sing Red Flags in the Window is creepy as hell.
I mean, that's fine. I'll agree to that.
All right, but yeah, it does. Okay, like I said, not a fan of country music, but the music choices are good. Kevin Bacon is a semi-professional musician. He's played with a local band. He sings. When we reviewed the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, they had him sing a original Christmas song with the band on Nowhere.
It wasn't that long ago, but he looked significantly younger in the Christmas special.
I can't help but think the makeup kind of aged him up. I think they wanted him to look a little bit more
Decrepit.
weathered. Like what?
Decrepit.
Well, I was going to say weathered and worn, but sure.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you do find out a few more episodes in why he was sent to hell for the acts accidental death of a young woman. Lesson learned, do not swear vendettas when you're drunk.
I think don't swear vendettas would suffice, but sure.
Yeah. Again, you kind of figure out pretty early on that about because you see all the posters for this girl missing, and he's got the grave in his back. It's like it's pretty obvious that he killed her. But again, the show would have been so much better if they had a few more episodes to stretch it out and we build up the mystery just a little bit more of what happened.
Agreed.
I did notice one interesting thing, and that is in a lot of the early episodes, and it continues on slightly more later on, but it's a really big thing, is the use of mirrors in the cinematography. We have a lot, and I mean a lot of shots of someone talking, and while we don't really see the face of the person, they're reflected in a mirror. Now, this plays up a little bit more. I think they were trying to work the symbolism of looking through the veil, as it were. Because Hub went to hell and came back, he is able to see demons in their natural form, which basically means they got the tiny little beady red eyes and like cracked skin and stuff. But Midge points out that she and others who have just sold their souls but haven't actually been to hell have to use mirrors. When they use mirrors, they can see beyond the veil and they can see a demon's true form. So I think that that's what they were going for with the use of the mirrors, was kind of the symbology of looking at these characters as they were, especially in that ending shot when we see the ex-wife possessed by Lilith, and we see her in the broken mirror, and we can see Lilith's true form, as it were.
Yeah, the only thing with the mirrors that really jumped out at me was the bit with the kid, where they first put the mirror and he's still a kid, and then he's possessed later on, and it's right about then she ends up getting killed in the house. That was impactful, but that was mostly because it involved a kid. And I think it jumped out at me because I often say, like, you typically don't kill a kid in TV and movies, and they did here. And I was like, I was shocked by the moment, and nothing much shocks me anymore. So I told my daughter today I'm mostly dead inside these days. And 95% zombie. But
that's what hanging out with Robert and me will do to you.
Has nothing to do with you two, trust me. But yeah, I would say other than that, I don't have a whole lot to add to your wanting to discuss the mirrors. It honestly was not something that I even noticed until they did the bit with the kid.
Maybe it's just because I look a little bit more at cinematography and things like that, but that was something that caught my attention early on. And at first I was just like, wow, this director just I can't help but feel it's like, okay, so the director figured out how to do a really good mirror shot, and all of a sudden that has become their bread and butter. I mean, how many times have we seen a movie or a TV show and it's clear the director just figured out how to do something really cool, and now it's like, okay, now I'm going to do this, and then I could do that again, and then I'll do this, and then I could do that again, and it just keeps going on and on and on. It's just like, yes, we get it. You like to toot your own horn. Move the hell along.
Right.
But I will say this, as good as the soundtrack is, the audio guys really needed to be smacked upside the head for the amount of crows that they kept putting in. I get it. Crows are symbolic of the dead, and we get the crow at the end that Lilith uses as kind of her little Uber driver or whatever. But my God, I lost count of how many times there was just a scene and all of a sudden you hear, caw, caw, caw. It's like, shut up. It's like, my God, Children of the Corn had less crows than you.
It's funny.
Now, the show has not been picked up for a second season as of this recording. I sent you an article talking about a quote from Kevin Bacon and the creator, how they're talking about their options. They say they've got plans for season 2. The season ends with Hub making a deal essentially to get his slate cleaned, so he doesn't have to go to hell and he doesn't have to be the bondsman. Midge is still on the hook. She's still got to deliver souls. But then Lilith decides to go and possess the ex-wife, who Hub has started to, try to win back, so to speak. And she essentially holds Hub hostage, saying it's like, yeah, guess what? I can't really go back to hell. And, you're not totally off the hook yet because you let me go. So pretty sure Satan's kind of pissed at you. So the only way we're going to make this work is if you work with me. And that's our ending. Still waiting to hear if this gets picked up for a second season or not. Again, if they do, there's a lot that they really need to work on. We need more than just 8 episodes. We need some more filler. We need a little bit more flavor of the week, as it were. A little more variety, I would say, in some of the demons, some of the adventures. I mean, the action sequences in this are great. My favorite is the water demon that Hub fights in the swimming pool. They did a really great job filming underwater, and you could tell that Kevin Bacon really gave his all in that performance. In fact, the article that I read, he talks about how bizarre it is, to film an action scene underwater, because if it's not something you're really trained to do, you have to think more about, it's like, okay, now I'm swinging and punching and everything, but I can't breathe, and that's using up more oxygen, and oh God, what have I done? So that was really cool. So this has potential, I would say, for a second season. It does have potential. It just really needs a lot of work.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like they wrote a movie and then just cut it up, and then the movie ended, and that was it. Like, this doesn't feel like something that was ever meant to be built on. They resolved mostly everything that needed to be resolved. Like, it's funny. She says at the beginning of the show, and I thought this was interesting. They're like, oh, sometimes demons escape hell, like a jailbreak. And then Kevin goes, but these particular demons are escaping for a particular reason. They solve that reason, and then it's over. And I was like, okay, but what about the rest of the demons that occasionally escape from hell? What are we doing about that? So,
that's why I was saying it's like we need more filler episodes with more filler demons.
Yeah.
Especially because they point out, it's like, fine, you stop this and then we go to hell afterwards. Like, so was he literally just sent back up to prevent this particular apocalypse?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels like if they really want to go back to this, there's a little bit of meat on the bone to explore, but I'm honestly good with what they did. Like, this was a fine enough little horror show. Kevin Bacon was fun to watch, and it's not, there's some stuff that we've done where, like, I'll give you an example. Resident Alien, I'm ready for that show to be done too. But I was okay, but they really did leave some stingers at the end of each season to where I was interested in what's going to happen next. I'm not interested in what happens next with this show. Far from it.
Again, my curiosity is slightly piqued. If this show does not get picked up for a second season, I am not going to cry. I'm more annoyed that Resident Alien's last season hasn't been announced yet. I mean, come on. I need more Alan Tudyk besides him voicing robots in the upcoming Superman movie. But I wouldn't mind seeing more. It's a case that's like, okay, if you guys can learn from your mistakes and build on that, because we have seen shows that have done that. We've seen a lot of shows where it's like the first season we're like, meh. Next season, okay, that's better. Season after that was awesome. I mean, hell, look at how we talked about The Bear. The first season, it was like, yeah, it was okay. It was good. It had a lot of this, but this is what we wanted more of, and they gave us more of that.
Right.
So they pay attention. They, learn from their flaws.
Yeah. The other side of that, though, is that The Bear was exceptional, and this I think falls neatly into like the comedy horror disposable entertainment. Like, for people who like this sort of thing, it's one of those things where you like it and maybe you talk about it once and then you never think about it again. The Bear has a lot of staying power. Obviously, it's been thrown award after award after award. I don't know if this, like, I don't even remember what the rating on this was.
Hang on a second. Come to me, Wikipedia.
Yeah, I'm looking it up too.
83% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it says 7.1 on IMDb, 82% on Rotten Tomatoes and 7.1 on Prime. So like I said, I think people like it just fine. But I don't think it has a tremendous amount of like. It was funny. I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about Star Wars, and like, does anyone ever talk about this anymore? Are there people on Reddit like putting theories out there? Like, I don't know. Is there any buzz about this show? Because none that I've seen. Yeah, I'm looking at the reception section of the Wikipedia, and it's like mixed or average reviews. Like, again, it was probably like light entertainment for people who like this sort of thing, and then just as quickly forgotten about.
Yeah, a lot of times I'll look up videos on YouTube with other critics talking about these kind of shows before we do our reviews, just to see if they brought up something I didn't think of. And there weren't a lot of people talking about this show. I hate to say it, at this point, I think everyone's too busy discussing Daredevil, Last of Us, and Andor.
Was anyone actually talking about Daredevil?
They were for a while.
Was not warmly received in my circles.
Yeah, well, that's why you shifted the Marvel circles to me. That's my cross to bear.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, like, a lot of the reviewers not that I want to talk about Daredevil, but a lot of the reviewers that I follow did not love it. Like, started off okay, there was hope there for a while, and then I think by the end of it, everyone was like, ho-hum, and it just moved on.
Fair enough.
You're not wrong, though. Everyone's, like, either, like, pissed or sad about Last of Us.
Yeah.
That's getting a lot of buzz.
To which I'm saying, aw, look how many people didn't play the video game and didn't know this was going to happen. Oh my God. I cannot wait to ask.
Condescending. How do you not get punched in the face on a regular basis?
I'm too cute.
Okay.
No, I cannot wait
have
to ask Andrew Roscoe actually about his opinion on that.
Have you seen the TikToks of like, the guys put up in the caption, as always, my girlfriend's never played The Last of Us.
No, I haven't.
The girlfriend's always like crying when they cut to her. Because I guess whatever happened in this show was pretty devastating.
Not going to talk about it, but no, I'm not going to talk about it. No spoilers for it. But if you played the game, you know what happens. We all knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
So sorry. Credit to the creators for keeping so close to the original story. And then credit to the artists who have been posting the okay, I hope these are artists and not AI images, but somebody apparently started a rumor that Bella Ramsey, who plays the female lead in The Last of Us, should be cast as Rogue in the new X-Men reboot. And oh boy, the sensitive males lost their shit.
Nice.
So there really isn't that much to talk about the show, unfortunately. Like I said, it's only 8 episodes long. It's not terrible. If you got Amazon Prime and you're a Kevin Bacon fan, I suggest checking it out. But there's not as much to really go over as we were hoping for. Unfortunately, again, there's only 5 main demons, if you don't count Lilith, and they don't really leave an impression. They don't have any funny one-liners or quips. They don't have any really cool attacks or fun moments.
Let me tell you how, like, in my head, I was comparing a lot of this to Ash versus Evil Dead, but I went back through those reviews, and there were more of us, so that added to it. But I mean, like, season 2 and season 3, talking about the different relationships, talking about Ash as a character and his hero's journey. Like, there was a lot of discussion to be had about Ash versus Evil Dead, and here, I mean, I guess if you wanted to dig into the relationship between Kevin Bacon and the ex-wife, okay. But even that, it's like, I don't know. I usually come into these things with 2 or 3 things in my brain that I want to talk about, that I want, that really reached me. And here, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but here it was like, maybe because I was doing stuff while it was on, so stuff didn't, but I did stuff while I watched the other shows too, and I could still key into important things to talk about. And here, this is not a particularly deep show, and not every show has to be. But as I keep saying, then not every show lends itself to long form discussion. And this would be not since Hellstrom have I had less to say about a show.
Well, Hellstrom, I begged you to have little to say about that show because that show physically hurt me. And I was like, please, I don't want to talk about it. I just want to please move past this pile of shit. But I compare it, see, you were comparing it to Ash versus Evil Dead. In my head, I kept comparing it to Supernatural. And I kept thinking about how when the Winchesters go after demons, we learn more about the situation where these demons are inhabiting. We learn more about the people that they are possessing or the ones they're attacking. You get more of a flavor of what's going on. With the people that they possess, we get maybe 3 minutes with them in the beginning before we see the
I was gonna
possession
say,
happen.
You know who did a better job of this? Lucifer. Lucifer would introduce like
Sorry, I just had a giant ass June bug fly in front of me. What the fuck?
Lucifer would introduce like biblical elements into the show, and it really like worked it. They dedicated large portions of that show to whatever biblical element they were introducing, and you felt like there was a lot more weight to it. Like I said, here, they very much revolved the show around the mystery of the pentagram, and that's all it was. So the demons really could have been anything. They were there to serve a purpose. They were there to form demonic Voltron, which is not all that interesting.
And I'm sorry, I know this trope has been done a million times, but the fact that it took Hub less than a day to find out how to send them back after what did Midge say? The corporate has been working since for ages to figure out. It's like you just suddenly saw the lines of the pentagram. Like, sorry, I don't know.
Well, that's another thing. Like normally, there's a little bit more dedicated time to like training. Like getting used to the job. Again, like there should have been a bit more of a struggle with the first demon or so.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of just does it.
And even the disposing of the demons becomes pretty blasé. It's just shoot them in the head and they burst into flames. Again, I think back to Supernatural, where they had a variety of demons and they had to take them out in different ways. My favorite method to this day is it was a Japanese demon, and the way to do it was to behead it with a sword that was blessed given a traditional Japanese blessing with mineral water. So one of the guys he buys just a samurai sword, just standard samurai sword from a pawn shop, goes to a sushi restaurant with a bottle of mineral water, gives the incantation to the sushi chef. It's like, I need you to read this and pour it over. And he does like, that's it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he goes off to fight. It's just so hilarious. But again, I would have loved a little more, even just a little bit more research into these type of demons and what can be done to get into their head and to fight them instead of just corner them, boom, boom in the head, done.
Yeah. You got anything else? Because if not, let's call it.
I would say so. Again, if you're interested in this kind of stuff and you like Kevin Bacon, go check it out. It's on Amazon Prime. It's 8 episodes, half an hour each. It's not going to take you that long to get through it. But frankly, if this is your cup of tea, but you want something better, go watch Ash vs. Evil Dead. Go watch Supernatural. Go watch Lucifer, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Sabrina, or The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Oh my God, the list goes on. And I should know, you would not believe how many fan bracelets I make that have a freaking pentagram on them. It's kind of getting ridiculous.
That was another show I was thinking about as I watched this, was Sabrina the Teenage Witch, or the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Yeah. The good one that decided, you know what, who needs a good ending? Let's just wrap this shit up.
I agree.
And yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this shit up. So, Mr. Rattledge, why don't you go ahead and tell us about any plugs you got coming up?
All right. On Sunday, myself and Jesse reviewed Cleaner, Alarum, and G20, who we were looking at streaming action movies. And then continuing the streaming thing, myself and Robert talked about The Electric State, had actually a very pleasant conversation, believe it or not. Tomorrow, myself and Dorian and Shay are talking the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Little Shop of Horrors, and Jekyll and Hyde the Musical featuring David Hasselhoff. I showed my daughter the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and she loved it. So that made me happy. And then rescheduled from the summer of last year, we're going to finally get to this. Hopefully Pat doesn't have a date. We are talking The Substitute, The Principal, and 187 next week. Saturday. Okay, next week. By God. We got another loaded week of shows. Monday, we will be reviewing Thunderbolts, which comes out this weekend on Damn You Hollywood. Harry and I are going to do a late show on Wednesday. We're going to be looking at Action 7. This is an indie show that he picked. Thursday, Jason is back, and we will be talking the final season of You, Big Y, Big O, Big U. And then on Saturday, Evan Bevins will be back on the show. We're doing a comic strip, and we're looking at the Surrogates. So that's what's going on with me.
All right. Well, I've got a little time off because I've got downtime and I don't even have this show to come back to because I will not be coming back until May 20th when I will be discussing Andor with Andrew Orozco and David Wright. Day after that, I will still be returning to do another TV party tonight. You and me, Mark, we're going to be talking apple cider vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
And the week after that, I will be hosting my very first On Trial as we discuss Lilo and Stitch, the animated version versus the new live action version that's coming out. That's going to be me and your little hellspawn.
Me and my angel, my perfect straight A son, my genius boy, and his sister.
Sure, why not? And
he has very strict instructions for me to give you the business.
Oh, I know. You told me that last night when I was annoying you on your live stream. Week after that, June 3rd, I will be coming back and we will be talking The Last of Us. So if you want to know why so many people are, crying their eyes out and the gamers of the world are saying, yeah, we've already been through this shit, come in and check that out. Andrew Roscoe will be back there to talk with that again, along with, I believe Jason Teasley is on for that one as well. Jason Teasley, Jesse Starcher. I'm forgetting who the hell I have on what show. Oh my God.
Jesse's on The Last of Us.
Thank you. Because I know I got Jason coming on a show with me before too long. I just couldn't remember which one. And after that, you do not get me again until June 18th, where we're going to be talking The Critic, the most criminally underrated show to come out of Fox that was not.
But I will be hosting that one. That is a very important show that I need to be controlling the reins on, especially with all of you on it.
Yeah, I know. You don't trust me.
Not even a little.
Anyway, I think that's all I've got. It's going to be interesting, you guys reviewing Thunderbolts this Monday and not having me on there because I'm usually one of the go-to Marvel people, but
David's there. He'll be fine.
All right. Still going to go see it this weekend. Looking forward to it. Reviews have been good. And moving on to what's the name of your new song? The plugs that...
Oh, I can't wait for this. I'm mad that Jesse's making me wait to talk about this. The plugs that pay me, baby. You should have seen the prompt that I put in there. I had to write the history of you being on this network so that ChatGPT had proper context for that quote.
God help us.
That's okay. You've created a new memory tonight, muting me while I was singing. So, wait for volume 2 of the Rattleton Broadcasting Network.
Okay, so yes, Honeysuckle Rose Creations for Fashion Meets Fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. It's weird because usually this time of year we've got back-to-back conventions. This year's kind of quiet. We do not have another show until the end of May, and that is going to be.
Why are you doing as many conventions? I thought they were your bread and butter.
They are. Just things are just a little more quiet this year. Aren't
you in charge of your own bookings?
Yes, and there's a lot of shows that either got moved, got canceled, or we just decided either not to. Yeah, there's at least 3 shows that I've done before in the spring that have folded.
They just can't. So are comic book conventions kind of dying? Is the convention circuit starting to whittle away?
It's not so much that as much as it is corporatism. You get a lot of the bigger shows that are kind of being swallowed up by the large amount of bigger shows. For example, you have the fan expos that's a show that happens in various different cities. There's a new one that hosts shows called Animate or Nightmare Weekend or Galaxy Con. I'm doing a handful of those. They've been swallowing up a lot of those, not to mention moving the locations around. For example, I did Animate in Des Moines last year. They are not doing Animate Des Moines this year. They are doing Animate in other cities, a variety of which are little further outside of my travel distance than I'm willing to go to.
Oh, so like, what is your radius?
Unless it's something that I can work with someone else on or get free room and board, so to speak, or
Mm-hmm.
just kind of work it in, I usually try to do within 8 to 9 hours drive time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, when I worked down at Medicon in Orlando, I worked it in so I could spend a week at Disney World and
Mm-hmm.
then finally meet you and pretend to punch you in the face.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who is moving to Salem, Oregon at the end of May for work, and he has promised me that while not this year, because they're going to still be getting things settled and whatnot, next year I can come out and stay with them. And there's a handful of great shows in Portland that I would love to check out. So, a little more incentive to go out there, maybe stay a few days after the convention, spend some
Mm-hmm.
time with them, little mini vacation, so to speak.
Tampa has a really big one in August. The actual Tampa Bay Comic Con.
Hmm.
I guess a pretty decent sized crowd.
But again, I need more of an incentive to try to go out there. I don't know how much
Mm.
money I would make on the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it is something to talk about if you'd be willing to let me crash on your couch or
No,
something.
why wouldn't I? Especially if it's a week I don't have my kids. Then
Yeah.
I have a full extra bed.
Well, you've never heard me snore. You may want to, backtrack on that.
I was married once.
I still am. But so we got Des Moines Con. We're going to be doing Kansas City Crypticon coming up in June. Huge roster of guests for that. And most excitably is the actor from Terrifier is going to be coming.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. We have a new show in August called the Comic-Con Nebraska. This is different from Anime Nebrascon. This is a brand new show. They approached me at Planet Comic-Con here in Kansas City, invited me to come work it. After that, we're going to be at the Colorado Springs Comic-Con. I work that one every year. That's one of my favorite ones to go out for. Got friends of the family out there. I love Colorado Springs. I love that town. I love going out there, and I always stay a few extra days to go hiking. It's great. But we are on the waiting list to hear back from a few more shows like the Greater Austin Comic Con, Galaxy Con in Des Moines, Anime Nebrascon up in Omaha, the Cincinnati Comic Expo, even a show that we always do called Planet Anime Kansas City. It's in November. They haven't even announced when they're opening their applications yet. So some of it's a case of we're waiting to hear back from them, and some of it's like they haven't even gotten off their ass to start yet. So, just got to keep checking the websites and checking for updates. But in the meantime, of course, we do have our websites. We sell on Etsy and Handmade at Amazon. Got our Etsy store up here right now. Just uploaded a bunch of stuff. If you are a fan of geeky jewelry, you need to check our stuff out. All handmade and upcycled from various game tokens, Scrabble tiles, dominoes, Monopoly, Clue, dice, Jenga, Battleship. The list goes on. Love making the stuff. Love coming out with new things. If I don't make something new at least once a month, I get itchy. Among our new items here, we got our flux capacitor and our Starbird Scrabble tile earrings. Fans of Back to the Future or Star Wars Rebels are definitely going to get a kick out of this. We were able to relist our Nightmare Before Christmas Monopoly tokens bracelet. So a lot of fun making those. And of course, again, we also have our second shop on Handmade at Amazon. If you want to follow us online, we are on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, got off Twitter, never looking back, and TikTok, as long as the TikTok ban doesn't come back. Knock on wood. There's wood. Again, that's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic. So, for myself, for Mr. Mark Rattledge, thank you for tuning in. And remember, don't drink and swear revenge. Whoop, hit the wrong button.